What's up guys, my name is Archon Shard and this is Ash Prime. I'm excited for this because Ash is an old frame. Ash has been around for 14 years. He got released back in 2012 with the first wave of frames, and in this video I'm going to take you through the best current builds for him. We want builds adaptable for any level, so you can start this at beginners or if you have everything in the game and you're maxed out. So I want you guys walking away with a fun build for him and just satisfying gameplay, because Ash is able to do things in the game that no other frame does. Quickly stick with me here. I'm going to be going over how this build is set up, how his abilities work, how the augments work, and what the kind of things you are looking for on Ash when you're playing him. The main reason why you'll see all his abilities doing slash and why he does so much damage, because his passive just basically increases all slash damages, increases the duration. That's also why on his shuriken, his first, we have extra slash damage we're doing. So what you do, we throw shurikens, it's about 5 in a cone shape in front of you, and you can max it out on targets. So how this looks in practice, we throw out our 5 shurikens in front of us in a cone shape. It's not really going to work like Stylian axis sticking targets to walls. This is really basic stuff. And maybe if you're standing close to a wall, you'll get a little bit of extra CC, nothing special. This is the ability you're going to get rid of on Subsume. The only bonus, only useful thing you can use here if you put the augment for the first on here. For his second, Smoke Screen, this is where it gets interesting, and this is why Ash was notoriously, now a lot of frames have invisibility, and we have Saito 9 where you can put invisibility on other frames with the helmet, but this is where he historically has been really strong. He's the only frame, he used to be the only frame, that can have permanent invisibility with an ability, and we can cast this at any time and can move around. Ivara had this back in the day. Ivara still has it, but she can't really move around. Whenever we cast Smoke Shadow here, or Smoke Screen here, all the targets near us will be knocked back a little bit, and we can still hit assassinations with our 3 on targets or with our melee weapon. For Teleport, for his 3, we have to aim our crosshair on a target and we can instantly teleport to them, and Ash will use a finisher animation similar to the melee and try to instant kill the target. So I extra put max range on him just to test it out. You get invisible and then you can just aim your crosshair at a target and you just hit the finisher on them. Let's try this out again. I feel a little bit like Itachi standing on top of that telephone pole, just getting ready to slaughter. So this is 140, 150 meter range. It goes up to 160. And look at this target in distance. This is the only tricky thing on range. We have to have our crosshair on them. And then let me just get invisible again. And it's about 140 meters. Boom. It's pretty fun. It's pretty fun. But not the most useful ability. Another one you could subsume. An ability we're not getting rid of is Blade Storm. Blade Storm is our main driving force here. It is super strong. What we do, we call in our shadow clones, and our shadow clones will do the dirty work for us. So we mark a target, and then we hit the 4 ability again, and that will activate our shadow clone. We'll have 2 guys up here that will kill these targets, and if I mark him here, he's marked with this little blue marker. We'll have our 2 shadow clones execute targets, taking turns on this. Sometimes you have a little bit more on screen up, but you have to see it like 2 melee counters just going through marked enemies, alternating on hits. Using this group of enemies to showcase this a little bit, every time you're glowing with your energy color around you, that means you're kind of in shadow mode. So marking all those by holding the 4, you can hold it down, then I release the 4, and then I hold it down again, and during that, our shadow clone will just go through the targets. This is on a basic build, nothing special. This is like almost 100 strength, so basically 0. If I max this out on our normal build, this will look much different. So here we have our shadow clone going through. No extra on the weapons, no killing speed. And then this is the same thing with our build. You already see the black aura, so it's already strong. I'm joking. And then look at these kills. Look at these damage numbers. I marked all the targets the same way. This is absolutely insane. And that's not even the max build you can go on here with killing strength. So cold, it just made me hit an emote. For Seeking Shuriken, that's the one I talked about earlier, you'll see targets, so it's 70% armor strip. If you hit it, it accumulates. So if you hit it twice on the targets, you're fully armor stripping them. Not the strongest armor strip in the game. if you're playing your 4 correctly, you do not need an armor strip because targets already die instantly. Fatal Teleport can be an interesting augment, especially if you're low level, because it refunds half of your energy cost if you're killing the target and you're doing 200% extra damage. So, and this is also multiplicative. So it makes a lot of sense if you're low in level to play Teleport Rush. You get a little bit of extra sprint speed afterwards, but it's not viable in high level play. The 2 augments we're going to be using for our builds, or for most of the high level builds, it's Smoke Shadow and Rising Storm. If you want to say no to one of these 2, it's probably Rising Storm, just because of the combo count. So you have a passive. It's a combo counter, just like with your melees, and that just determines how much damage your Shadow clones on Blade Storm are doing. So Smoke Shadow is pretty important because you get a 150 crit chance on everything while invisible. Your shadow clones, your melee weapon, your primary weapon, your secondary, your pet damage, everything. I always recommend using this, and I haven't seen this in enough Ashe builds. We're going to be using 2 builds here, Wrathful Vengeance on the one and Marked for Death on the one. I quickly want to explain this. So how Marked for Death will work, you'll have a target within range, the target you want to put the mark on. Mark for Death will just spread damage, so that means you put the Mark for Death on your main target you want to kill. You can either kill that with a weapon, but that would be boring, so we're going to kill that with our Blade Storm. So you put the 1 on here, maybe you're invisible for extra crit chance, and then you hit the 4, and targets will instantly take that Marked for Death damage, and they'll slowly die over time. So we do this again, have this target here, put Mark on, and now we're using our 4, and these targets around us have full health, and they're just quickly going to tick down and die instantly. And that's not even on max strength. We'll start with the most important, most interesting thing. Before you flame me for what you're seeing on screen here, just let it be known there's a few different options on how to do this. These arcanes, I tried out a lot of different stuff. These are essential. We got Arcane Crepuscular and Arcane Fury. These are essential. I've tried out a lot of different things. Arcane Energize doesn't make a ton of sense here. And these arcanes are just great for that high damage. For your kind of essential mards, we got Arcane Stretch, Umbral Intensify, Blind Rage, Narrow-Minded, Archon Continuity. These are kinda the essential ones. So like these 5, you want to have them on here. Prime Flow isn't a hard necessity, but look at this tiny energy pool. This is gonna be really tough to attack big groups of enemies without Prime Flow. Yeah, of course we can always have more damage on these builds, but again, it's super cool seeing 150 million damage with every cast of Blade Storm, but we're going for big kills, not overkills. We're one-shotting Acolytes, and that's all we need. Quick side note, if this build is helpful, make sure to subscribe. I have videos on all your favorite frames. There's a good chance that the algorithm will never show you this video again, so just to stay in the loop, go hit subscribe. We have Corrosive Projection here, because we're not running Seeking Shuriken. And then I'm actually going with Energy Nexus, because this is, to me, the best way I figured out to just get some energy. This is just this one mod on here. It's pretty easy. You can have Cunning Drift, Power Drift on here. We don't need tons of range, so this build is really set up for even negative range. Archon Stretch is only on here because of the electricity damage and the energy restore with that. And then Archon Continuity, we get that ability damage from our 4, and then of course over the 1, because we do not need the shurikens, we put Wrathful Advance. If we slip on over to Marked for Death, we slip on over Marked to Death, it's also over the 1. So Smoke Shadow is super important for that extra crit damage. And here with Wrathful Advance, I'm actually going for max range. Precision Intensify, of course, for the 4, for the Blade Storm. But I'm trying to get high range, just because that Marked for Death, it range goes up. Look at this. It goes from 30 to 75. And at 75% damage death range is pretty insane. Here we're getting our energy because we actually need a ton more. We're getting it with Equilibrium and Arcane Energize. So we can either run Naiman or Madurai, and we don't have to run Zeneric. Because for this build, if we come back to it, and then I tried out Arcane Arachne, not the greatest. You could switch back to Crepuscular. Because I'm not a big fan of hanging on the wall every 30 seconds. I'm really not a big fan. With Ashe, it might be a little bit different because he's this ninja frame and it plays into his playstyle, but I really recommend going with Crepuscular.
Because for this build here, we're consuming so much energy, I'm actually running with Zenuric. Your other option is Narmon. That's going to be number 2 or Madurai. Nothing else makes sense, so it's really between Narman and Zenuric. For our shadow clones, for our buddies, this is what I'm running here. This isn't perfect. There is a perfect version, but let's just hear me out on this. Melee crescendo doesn't matter a ton. You gain this initial combo counter, and that's really interesting, but it doesn't have to be max rank. So, because you get it with every finisher kill, and you're finishing all over the... Pause. Pause. I'm losing it. Okay, let's focus. Let's lock in. What we need is melee attack speed, because this really goes into our getting Blade Storm kills quick. So we're going with Quickening, and we're going with Berserker Fury, which we get after 2 finisher kills. The other thing is Fury or Prime Fury, but we're not waiting till day 900 to get Prime Fury on here. Berserker Fury is great, works way better, and we don't have to use extra form on here. Galvanized Steel for some extra crit chance, and then we're running Prime Fever Strike because we have Archon Continuity on here, and we're actually doing a little bit of corrosive procs on targets. Since we're one-shotting, it doesn't matter too much. If you just want to run Prime Continuity because you don't want to put an extra Archon Shard on there, Archon Shard, what am I saying? Extra form on here, that's fine. And then, of course, Condition Overload and Finishing Touch. Anything that goes like into finisher damage, quick finishers, that's kind of the mods you want to put on here. For our weapons, we're really not using weapons a lot. The weapon you'll be using the most is your melee. So this is just a quick Fenmore build, nothing special. Here's a quick Epitaph build. This is the best primer to use on Ashe. This is my Riven, nothing special here, not a great Riven either. And then for my Zaw also, decent Riven, nothing special, just as an example. This is the only weapon I'm really using in here. Everything else, you're killing so quick, so you just need a weapon to generate energy whenever you're at 0. For my pet, of course, I'm putting any kind of shock on the claws, so I get that Archon Energize proc. And then you can run 3 pets here. So the 2 I recommend is either running the Panzerwolperpfeiler, or, where do I have it? Nautilus Prime. This is the laser rifle, and Nautilus Prime just to pull enemies in, especially Cordon, and assault mode on, and you're totally fine. Why is he freaking out? And then, what are you doing? And then we have, where is it? The Diriga, and this is the 3rd pet you can run because of this Arc Coil. But also, I really recommend run whatever you want of these 3. Pets do not matter too much on him. You just want a pet with any kind of shock on, so you can proc your Archon Stretch. My favorite part for Archon Shards, we're doing 4 Tauforge Red and 1 Casting Speed. Casting Speed is not going to influence your most important part about these builds, is the speed of which Bladestorm kills. That's attack speed, has nothing to do with casting speed, and casting speed on Bladestorm is instant. We use this for how fast we kill with our 1, and how fast we get into smoke with our 2. The wait has been long enough, let's get into the gameplay. So I have Zenuric running here in the background, or I have Zenuric running every 20-30 seconds just to have some extra energy in case I really need it. Depending on really the map layout, depending on the enemy spawns, depending on if you play with people or not, you might not even need Zenuric. Having extra Narman on doesn't matter too much if you're killing with your 4 a lot. So what you want to do, you want to be in smoke all the time. Every time you have it up, you want to proc your smoke, and then you want to activate your 1. With your 1, you're getting extra damage on there. So this is the Wrathful Vengeance build. And then I just pop Zenuric in the middle a few times. You'll see towards the end of these clips, I won't actually need it. And then you just try everything you touch, so you're just running through the rooms, and everything you see that's in your line of sight that you put like your cursor over, you're gonna have that marked with your 4. I'm releasing it here and re-triggering my 4, and I just kill off everything I marked here. So super efficient, super big damage. You see the Zenuric proc is gonna run out here in a second. I just try to keep it up at the beginning, but as soon as I'm at 12 stacks and as soon as I'm gaining decent energy, I'm just insta-killing everything, and I won't really have to worry about having up. I have Energy Nexus and my Archon Stretch up,
so that's about 5 energy per second. Your 4 does consume a bit with each target, but you should be able to get enough back. So that's usually our main concern. He does a lot of damage. He's a ton of fun to play. Just for me, these procs on screen are just super satisfying. Just like anytime you see an Acolyte, that's just a one-shot. Like just having a bunch of triple red crit procs on your screen, and even the shield procs, it's just so satisfying. It's just a ton of fun. I also took this man through an entire Archon Hunt Exterminate just to get a little bit better of a grip on his gameplay. And here, it's a little bit slower. We still get the mark on. We don't even need extra stacks. And he's fun to play. For me, he's really one of these frames. He's not a crazy nuking the room frame. He's not one of these crazy killing everything instantly. He is unkillable. He does really fulfill his niche, and he's just a super fun frame to play. We sometimes have to remember that nothing always has to be fully optimized. Like Ashe can function in a lot of situations. He's great in any kind of defense mission because you can just 360 with his 4. He's great in spy missions. He's great in exterminate and survival. You could use him in any case. This could be a one-for-all frame. But we do have to remember this is to have fun with. So he's a super satisfying frame to play. His gameplay is awesome. And incorporating Colavero's 1, or Colavero's ability on his 1, just gives him this extra teleport, and this extra like finisher kill teleport damage that you just don't get from his 4, from his 3. If his 3 was Colavero's Wrathful Vengeance, it would be perfect. This man would be amazing. So you see here, it's pretty decently going through an Exterminate. It's not like I'm flying through here with Titania, but it still provides the fun you're trying to get out of Ashe. How Ashe functions with a team, it totally depends on enemy density and what kind of frames you're playing with. He can be great in survival, he can be great in other missions. You're going to be the one doing the most damage. No one's going to Ashe one-shot an Acolyte faster than you. It's really amazing. But the big problem we have with Ashe in other missions is his 4 takes a little bit. If you procced all these targets you see, you proc them all, takes maybe 10 seconds to run through there, and then you reproc your 4, it could be that a Hildren pulled up and everything's already dead. So you kind of have to be aware of that. It's not like Knight is where I say, hey, this is kind of exclusive for like a solo survival, chill around and do stuff. He can work good with other people. It just totally depends on team setup, team combination, and also what kind of players you play with. Ashe has been around forever. At his current standings, he does fulfill his niche role very well. I remember the 2022 meta when everybody had Seeking Shurikens on, and you're just spinning around, hitting the Seeking Shurikens and everything, and just spamming your 4, just insta-killing everything in survival without moving and being invisible with your 2. So I kind of like this new style of play. I also like that he doesn't have to have a stat stick anymore, and you can just mod those clones, which is amazing because those stat sticks never really worked well with the finisher damage. And here we're hitting big numbers, which is always awesome to see. If I would, because I usually give my gripes on frames and tips of improvements, if I would improve him, I would make his 4 a little bit easier to cast on enemies and make it a little bit, not like passive like the Rumblers with Atlas, but I just would make it a little bit easier and a little bit more instantaneous to kill. Also, I would incorporate his shurikens in a more meaningful way, because here they're kind of useless, and like I said before, make Colavero's ability or part of Colavero's ability into his 3, it would just do so much. Especially also, Ashe does not have fun augment mods. Every character has like one augment mod that's cool, and these augment mods are like, oh yeah, we're doing more damage. We're doing more sprint speed. We have combo count. This is boring, man. Enhance these abilities, make them more fun. For everybody here still watching, you guys are absolute legends. I do appreciate it a lot. If you guys want to see another awesome video, full total build, total amazing explanation on another old frame, go watch this video here right now. It's about Atlas. He's amazing. The video is really good. Go check that out. And thanks so much for watching, guys. Thanks, guys.